friends, it's Krysla here. I wanted to make this video to talk to you guys a little bit about handling your ball python. I noticed that some new ball python owners had a lot of questions about when to handle their snake, when not to handle their snake, and I just wanted to put some information out there for anybody that might be new or unsure. So first and foremost, when not to handle your ball python. So it's really important that you do not handle your ball python after they eat. If you handle your ball python after he or she eats, it can cause them to regurgitate or to throw up their meal, and their bodies really aren't designed that way, so that could essentially kill your ball python. At the very least, it's going to be really uncomfortable and unpleasant. So that's a big no-no. You want to give them at least 24 hours. I would say closer to 2 days. We usually try to wait for about 2 days before we handle our ball pythons after they eat. You also want to try to avoid handling your snake when your snake is in shed. When they are in shed, the skin around their eyes becomes really cloudy, really hazy, and they have trouble seeing. So this makes them feel really insecure. They can't see what's going on around them. They don't feel safe. So they tend to be grumpier. So if you take them out and handle them a bunch and play with them, that's kind of scary for them, and that can cause them just some unneeded stress. So if you notice your ball python is going into a shed or getting ready to shed, I would say just leave him in his tank. If you have to take him out to clean or to check on him, that's fine, but then put him right back and leave him in. Another thing I wanted to talk about concerning handling your ball python is what to do if your ball python hisses at you when you try to handle them. So some people will get a new snake and they will say that it's not very friendly. They reach in to grab the snake, and every time they reach in, it hisses at them. And naturally, when a snake is hissing at us, we don't want to touch it. That's kind of how that works. But that's actually not how you want to handle that situation. If the snake is hissing at you, it's telling you that it doesn't really want to be touched. It's probably scared. It probably hasn't been handled before or had a bad experience or whatever the case may be. That being said, if it hisses at you and you don't handle it, then it will learn that if it hisses at you, you won't handle it and it won't have to be handled. And then you'll just have the snake that you can't hold. So Drax here, this is my buddy Drax, and he's a really good example of that situation. When we first got Drax, he was a bit smaller, and I don't think he was really used to being handled. And anytime somebody would try to touch him, he would hiss at us, and so I wouldn't touch him because I am very afraid of snakes that hiss at me. But my husband, in all his wisdom, still took him out and handled him, even though he didn't want to. And after being handled over and over and over and over again, Drax learned that there's nothing wrong with it. He's completely safe. And so he stopped hissing. And now he loves being out. He's quite active, as you can tell. He's probably the snake that I handle the most. And he's a really good snake. He's really great with kids, and he's really come a long way. So if you have a ball python that doesn't seem to like being handled, you want to handle it. Not for too long. I would say take him out, give him 10 minutes of handling and put him back. You don't want to overstress the snake, but just that repetition of getting out, getting handled, and seeing that nothing bad is going to happen, it will help them be more comfortable with people. When you bring a ball python home, a lot of information online will say to give it a week or two in its enclosure before you handle it. And that's really good advice. It's advice that we never ever follow, to be honest. That being said, most of our ball pythons that we bring home used to be pets, and so they're kind of used to being handled. They're used to people. So we'll bring them home, we'll give them a few days to get settled, and then we'll start taking them out, and we'll pay attention to their behavior. So if the snake seems stressed, or if it's trying to get away, if it's trying to hide when we're trying to handle it, then he might need some time adjusting, and we'll put him back in his enclosure and give them a few more days. But for the most part, after a few days of being home, we'll take them out. They say you're supposed to give them a week or two. We give them a few days, and we've never really had any problems there. As far as how often you handle your ball python, that's kind of up to you, and it's up to your snake. I like to handle my snakes very frequently. That being said, we do have some snakes that don't really like being handled. So if you take them out, they will let you hold them, but the whole time they're just really trying to get away and really trying to find a place to hide. So those snakes we'll take out just so they're used to being handled. We'll let them roam around for 10 minutes, and then we'll put them away because we don't want to overstress the snake. Those get out about once a week. Other snakes, like my buddy Drax here, we'll take out on a daily basis, and he seems really into it. And we really enjoy doing it. There's no really right or wrong answer for how much or how often you handle your ball python. It really just depends on the ball python that you have. And like my buddy Drax here, if you handle them often and you pay attention to their cues, make sure they're not stressed when they're out and about. You're not holding them when they're shedding or when they've just eaten. If you hold them frequently, they can become really great pets. So I hope that answers any questions you might have about holding your new ball python. If you have any more questions, you can leave them in the comments below. Like always, remember to like, share, and subscribe. And you can also follow us on our Facebook page to see more of our snakes. I have the link below in the description. Thank you so much for watching.